Okay, so you've probably noticed that this has been a very two-fisted affair, getting used to manipulating two brushes at once to do this type of work. One has been the clear wash brush and one has been the smaller brush loaded with color. Let's graduate from there into two colors, two brushes, no weighting. I've penciled in a series of fish scales, and now I'm going to use this same technique to create the impression of overlapping scales. First of all, laying down the yellow color, once again, enough to make a nice smooth, shiny coating on the paper, not enough to create a puddle. And I'm dropping in with a nice orange-red I've mixed here. And just creating an overlap marking to indicate the scales above. Now if I clean a bit of the paint off my yellow brush, I can still go in with the yellow brush and smooth those lines out. Let's do one more here. Just enough to smoothly coat the paper, not creating a puddle. It's even important to monitor yourself. Make sure you don't have an overloaded brush. Too much pigment will flow too far. Again, this is all part of water safety. Now, we already know I can't do the next row of scales because they're wet, so I have to move all the way down so that my next wet paint won't touch the wet paint that I've already laid down. And we'll put in another one here. This is really good practice for your water control. And smoothing it out with the other brush. Sometimes not necessary, by the way. And one last one here. Please note also that it is important that one color is stronger than the other. I am always dropping thick into thin, or you could say dark into light. Notice also that I always start with the lighter color. The important thing here is thick drops into thin. Even with a clear wash, thick is dropping into thin. And that's a break while we just let something dry here for a minute. We're almost there. And we can carry on and finish this imaginary row to give you the full sense of it. And let's see if we can just finish another row so you get a full impact sense of the fish scales. Obviously this must be a golden carp. Notice how often I dry the excess pigment off of my brush or the excess water. Always just trying to keep it wet enough and not too wet. It's a balance that you learn with practice. Smooth that one out a little. And we'll do one last one over here. We'll smooth that out. And we're gradually building rows and rows of fish scales. This technique, both the clear and the two-tone, come in very handy eventually when you're trying to model and shade complicated objects in a complicated picture. You're probably wondering, why would I ever bother with this clear wash, which is hard to see if I can always put in a colored wash into that. We'll find that out in part 4.